So hello, this is another one of our amazing interviews with alum Yinka. Before, just to set the tone, just to kind of introduce what we're doing and why we're doing it. This is one of our interviews with an LSBU alumni volunteer for our Volunteer Week interview series. LSBU alumni act as the lasting connection to the university. Our alumni are examples of what success looks like, overcoming barriers, creating opportunities, and smashing any glass ceilings along the way. We believe it's what you do that matters. So we're celebrating and asking some of our amazing alumni volunteers why it's important for them to give back and use it in such an inspiring and rewarding way. Our volunteers are change makers. They are doers who take action and get involved in projects that change communities. Volunteering at LSBU creates a community that thrives with change. I'm Sally and I'm alumni or senior officer, alumni supporter and volunteering in the Alumni Relations Development Department.
And I'm Jodie, and I'm the Senior Officer in Marketing and Events in the Alumni and Development Department. And we are joined today by Yinka. Hi, Yinka.
Hi there, Jodie. Hi, Sally. Thanks for the lovely introduction. Pardon the UID 1013367 that's appearing. I'm using my work laptop, and that's my work ID number.
No problem. I did wonder. I was like, who do you It's fine. No problem. Sally, I think you've got the first question.
I wanted to ask that, because I've had a chat with you before and you've had quite a broad relationship with us, and you've done a lot of volunteering outside of LSBU and with LSBU. But I also know that you're an alumnus of other institutions. And so I'm quite curious to know, why do you give back to LSBU specifically? What brings you back? And if you could also summarize things that you've done with us in your volunteering journey, that would be amazing.
Well, 3 questions in one. Let's start from the top.
I don't make life easy for you, Joe.
Okay, so why do I come back? Okay, for starters, yes, I have attended quite a few higher institutions. The one thing about LSBU is that it is definitely the most diverse the institution I've attended. So I've gone to a university in Nigeria. Obviously, it was mainly Nigerians. I've gone to Imperial College, and it was diverse, but not as diverse as South Bank in terms of the BAME community and a whole range of other people that enroll at South Bank. So for me, the 2 years I spent at South Bank was definitely an eye-opener to me, having come from Unilag, where it was all Nigerians, and then to actually come to London, even though I was brought up in London anyway before Unilag, but coming to London again and then seeing that such a diverse community existed in the heart of London at LSBU, it was definitely a place that interested me. And in terms of coming back, yes, it's like home now, because it's in South London and I was born in South London. So it's my duty to come back to South London and help.
Thanks, Yinka. And I realise what might be helpful for those that watch this. Can you please tell us what you studied at LSBU, when you graduated, and why you chose that particular course?
Okay, so yes, so just as mentioned already, that I've attended a few higher institutions. So it's best I just go through that kind of chronology in terms of my education. So yeah, so I was brought up here to the age of 10. My family went back to Nigeria. There I did secondary school and went straight to university. I studied chemical engineering at University of Lagos, came back to London at the age of 20. So I actually graduated quite early, quite a young graduate, full of a lot of energy. Then before I could actually do my master's at where I wanted to do it, I needed to wait 3 years to be considered a home student and not pay fees. And then also Imperial offers a sponsorship if you're a home student, etc. So in between that time, I enrolled at South Bank to plug the hole in what I saw in terms of computer skills. So I actually enrolled to do computer-aided engineering at South Bank. 2-3 years you can do it. I did 2 years and got my HND, and then I went on to Imperial to do my chemical engineering again. So it's a bit strange. Some will see, oh, computer-aided engineering in the middle of 2 chemical engineering degrees. What was he on? But it was well worth it. It increased my computer skills, networking, awareness of diversity, awareness of South Bank, And hey, even in my class, I was teaching my fellow classmates engineering mathematics because I was a graduate. So there are many things that came out of that that were wonderful. Yeah.
Amazing. A well-educated man. That's insane. Taking it back to your volunteering experience with LSBU. So from my understanding, it's been very varied over the years. But it seems to be that your experience is centered around the sector that you work in, which is amazing. And I know that you support the employability team with some mock interviews, CV workshops, and I know that you're about to embark on a new volunteering role, which addresses inequality at LSBU through the Action for Change project. So kind of taking it back to your first experience of volunteering at LSBU, how did that come about and what was that like for you?
Okay, so I've already pointed out how I noticed how LSBU was one of the more diverse institutions. Now, this is a person who's finished studying at chemical engineering at Imperial College now. So we fast forwarded in my career, and I've noticed the difference between when I graduated from Imperial and when I finished my HND at South Bank. So I noticed Imperial, hey, employers were coming left, right, and centre to interview. You are pretty much, it's very difficult not to get a job at Imperial because you have employers coming specifically to interview candidates, quite impressed with your ability, all sorts of opportunities are available. And there was a stark difference between that and South Bank. So that was always in the back of my mind. Obviously, my main aim was to get a job at that point in time. So I got my job in chemical engineering and I moved on with my career. If we fast forward it a few years, I became a STEM ambassador. And I actually went for an event on Walworth Road. There's a church on Walworth Road where there was an Make an Engineering Hot event that was organized part by STEM ambassadors and part by an association called the Association for Black and Minority Ethnic Engineers. Bumped into the originator of it, I was very impressed, and I joined their association. And then fast forward a couple of years again, we decided to launch what's called a employability skills transition events. And we launched it in South Bank. It had been going on in Scotland by the sister organisation in Scotland. We launched one in London called Transition, launched it in South Bank, the most applicable place to do it. I was asked why. I said it's obvious. There's so much skill and capability in South Bank, plus the ethnic diversity. So we actually launched a 3-day career skills workshop called Transition in South Bank. That was my first experience doing work in South Bank. That was in conjunction with a lecturer called Sophia at the time, Sophia Barakse. It was deemed a big success, and we've continued to do transition events around. And so that introduced me to South Bank, back to South Bank. And once you start doing voluntary work with South Bank, it's easy to continue. And that's how I've always maintained my interests. Fast forward a few years, met Riz, all sorts, and I'm always ready to help. Helping it goes two ways. Helping people helps not just the people you're helping, but actually helps you. It helps you to refresh your memory. There's so many things you gain from helping people. And if that's another question, I'll answer that in detail, but trust me, there are lots of things you can gain. Yeah, so that's the summary of how I got involved with South Bank.
That's such a good summary. And I remember it so distinctly when we met and you told me that. It was really great because you're advocating for us and you're saying, you're being that voice that's saying, why don't we take this to South Bank? South Bank students would really, really value this. And so that's part of the reason why we love our alumni as well, is because you do us and you do bring these opportunities to us for our students. You mentioned just now about another question. I was going to link that and just ask very simply, what motivates you to volunteer?
Okay.
LSBU or in general, what motivates you? And you've talked about equality and diversity within your sector. I imagine that might be within. But
yeah, I mean, where do I start? Obviously, I think if I think about in terms of motivation, if I think the number one motivation is the fact that there's a discrepancy. And for someone who's worked in chemical engineering and the oil and gas industry for, a couple of decades now, I notice that all the time. And I'm always at the forefront of trying to help people to get jobs. I get very passionate when I see someone who's graduated from South Bank with a first class and not in a top-notch job. otherwise, in some institutions, it's immediate. Even before you graduated, you've already found the next position. In Southbank, sometimes there seems to be a time lag. And the longer that lag, the worse it is for you. So that is the first thing that motivates me, along with the simple fact that when you mentor people, it helps you, because believe it or not, I may be talking really confidently now online, but there was a time when I was a bit shy. When I first graduated, I was told I was a quiet person, a bit of an introvert. I used to argue, I'm not an introvert, I'm an extrovert, and people laugh at me, but I was an introvert at the time. And the more you speak to people, especially students who are following your path, the more you realize how much you actually know and how much you can give back. So suddenly you grow in confidence, they grow in confidence. It's a win-win. So to me, yeah, more people should volunteer, because everyone gains.
I love that.
Yeah.
I guess my next question is maybe just a bit more on your opinion. You mentioned that you noticed that there's a bit of a lag for graduates between completing their studies and getting their first job, and the job that they deserve, that they've worked hard for and they should be in. And it's great that you acknowledge that and you come back to us because you want to be a part of the change. But what do you think that is? Why that lag? What is missing, and why is it? What's the difference between us and Imperial? Like you say, that recruiters are just coming there and picking up graduates and they'll get their job. But why for LSBU do you think that's not the case?
Goodness.
I'm taking it off to the left a little bit, but I'm interested to know your opinion on that.
You will, okay. Right. There's so many issues, you see. So it's like you're asking me if I could solve it in one go, I would have tried it myself by now. Let's just start that. I did a paper with the AFBE actually on this same subject, because we were doing just engineering. We did the engineering career life cycle. We traced performance from secondary school, where BME seemed to perform in a proportionally good way according to the proportion of the population, and it seemed to go all that way up to the point of getting a job. It seemed to be a good performance up to the point of that final step where you become economically self-sustainable, which is a job. It's easy for universities to collate results and see that, yes, this proportion does well, this proportion goes here. But the first point that we noticed were that less students go to the Oxbridge universities. And we know that in the society we're at the moment, Oxbridge, Imperial, I'll put them in the same bracket, tend to get a higher graduate intake. Now, is that opportunities, or is it to do with the quality of the students? Is it reputation? I think it's all of the above. I think it's opportunities. I think it's partly to do with, definitely, let's face facts, Imperial has performed top 10 chemical engineering department results over many years. So if we go by that kind of university ranking, Imperial is one of the best. Southbank chemical engineering, it would be nice if it raises itself up as well. So we have that reputation, we have opportunities. We also have, I haven't got to the bottom of this, but it seems that more emphasis is placed by students earlier on in Imperial about getting jobs. Because definitely when I was there, there was a lot of pressure. Now, when there's pressure amongst your colleagues that they've already got jobs, you'll feel the pressure and you start. So it's kind of like it's a symbiotic environment, whereas in Southbank, there wasn't that kind of pressure. So I don't know where to pinpoint it. Is it that because you don't have peer pressure to get in a job, you're relaxed? Or is it because the opportunities were available for you, which caused there to be peer pressure for you to get the job? So it's a vicious cycle that needs to be broken. And the only way I would see it going forward is if the students actually take ownership for the reason for needing to get the job and actually start looking earlier on. They need to be encouraged, persuaded, and forced, if possible, to actually look for a job earlier on. And that means not saying, oh, I have an assignment, I can't look for a job anymore, I'm so busy with my project, because, you know, the aim of the project is to get the job. So you need to spend, I'll say a distinct 20% of your efforts well ahead of graduating on seeking employment. That's that. I've just thought of that now as we speak.
That is amazing. And
yeah,
I would love to read the paper. So if it's like you could send it to us, that'd be amazing. And
yes.
I mean, lead me quite nicely into a question I prepared, because you have been giving your time during a very difficult year during the pandemic, and you've been very, very generous, working very closely with our dear colleagues at the employability teams, the Job Shop, RIS, LSBU Employability. You've been doing that. You've been doing mock interviews, you've been doing CV reviews during a very difficult year for students, raising the bar and encouraging students to think about their employability and how to be more employable before kind of graduating. My question is, how does it feel to do the frontline volunteering? So that type of volunteering where you are one-on-one with a student and you are giving this tangible advice, or you're giving a mock interview. How does it make you feel? And how does it make you feel to see the impacts that you're having on a student?
Oh goodness. Well, this brings out my love of volunteering, doesn't it? Because well, you know, we're trying here to even exhibit the benefits of volunteering, and I'm trying to conceal, to hold myself back with the joy I get, because when for me, when I actually get someone and explain things to them and help them out in getting a job or understanding a chemical engineering topic, I get a buzz. Whether that's my own nature, I'm intrigued, because not only do I now mentor people and help them, but also some of those I've mentored in the past, I encourage them to mentor. So what you're seeing now is a case of mentoring those who have mentored, and those you have mentored now mentoring, and you're just experiencing also in them the increase in confidence and joy they get, because given to people by our very nature is an enjoyable experience when you can give. Being listened to and being respected is a very nice experience. So all of these things I get from it. I get joy, I get the buzz, I get respect, I get people listening to me. You know, I tell people when they go for an interview to target different individuals to understand what they enjoy doing. You know, if you spent 10 years working in a field and a new interviewee comes in and asks you about what you've been spending 10 years doing, they're going to like you, no matter how you look at it. So, hey, there's respect when you talk about what you know and people listen to you. So once again, it's another win-win. So for me, it's fun and it's respect and it's confident boosting. That's it. So it's not hard at all in this environment.
No. Just to touch on that, like you said, it's good to see people grow in confidence and people who you've mentored. I wonder if you could share with us if there's a time that, so a moment in your volunteering journey where that has reaffirmed this is why I do what I do. Like, was there exchange or a dialogue or something that you witnessed in someone that just made you be like, this is why I do this?
Oh,
You could share with us on that. There's probably loads, but
yeah,
you know,
it happens a lot.
That doesn't have to be at LSBU. I know you are an advocate for volunteering in many places. So
yeah.
But okay, so mentoring is not, to me, mentoring is not a 6-month fixed term program. Mentoring is actually potentially for the whole of one's professional career. So when you've mentored someone, even if they don't need you as much as they did when they're students, there's a tendency, I've maintained contact with quite a few. And when someone I've mentored becomes a chartered engineer, for instance, hey, for me, that's wonderful, which has happened. And it's going to happen again at the end of this month when I'll broadcast on LinkedIn. But it has happened in the past with someone a year ago who experienced difficulties at work, you know, had to move from company to company a few times. It was obvious she was a very talented chemical engineer, but she became chartered last year. And when she sends you the message and says thank you so much, it's that feeling is is a wonderful feeling. And that isn't just for being chartered. Getting a job. Obviously, there are individuals who I've met at South Bank who have taken some time to get jobs. When they get that job, and this has happened in a few occasions, you feel that buzz because you were there, you helped it happen. And if you keep in touch with that person, I'm an advocate for LinkedIn as well. And on LinkedIn, you get to see how people are growing in confidence and experience in whatever field they choose. So for me, yeah, it's happened a few times, but becoming a chartered, as our parents told us, you must become a chartered engineer. Well, they told me anyway. So when it happens to others, I get happy about it.
I'd love to know quickly, who inspires you? Who motivates you? Who do you look up to? Who do you like to behind?
I saw this question in the brief and I spent a lot of time thinking about this because I said, should I go political and should I say Nelson Mandela? Nah, he does inspire me, but it's not the appropriate answer for this occasion. I know I had a very good mentor when I first started my first graduate job, who pointed out to me that I wasn't an extrovert, I was an introvert and I need to move around. But I'm not in contact with him as much. So I have to be really truthful about it. I'll say it's my mum, purely because she has put in me this spirit of tenacity and to never give up and to always kind of like, if you give up when you're mentoring people, then they're going to give up. So you need to always be positive for them in order for them to remain positive. Some people think, oh, Yinka, there's always a way to do it. Yinka always think there's a way to do it. But the fact of the matter is, giving up is not an option, is it? Because giving up means you're not going to achieve it. So for me, my mum inspired me to always be tenacious with things I do and persevere, and success will come. So that's it. Yeah.
Well, she must be incredibly proud of you. Speaking to you, I just think you're so candid with your answers. I did have one more, if I may.
Yes.
I mean, you're such an advocate. I mean, you're so modest. You're not, you've given us a good menu of things that you do, but you're an advocate for women in engineering. You're associated with the Association of BAME Engineers as a mentor. You come and volunteer with us in such a wide capacity. And very early on from talking to you, I realised your passion was equality and diversity. And so I was over the moon when you agreed to do this new volunteer role for our Action for Change, looking at structures of inequality at university, at our university, how we can change, having alumni come on board and give their opinion and share their lived experience. My question is, how important is it for you to have a volunteer role offered to you that matches your personal interests? So from someone that manages volunteers and works with volunteers myself, how important is it for you to have a volunteer role that is matched to what you're passionate about, and for someone like my role to make those connections with all the associations that you're kind of involved with?
Well, in a time where we are, where people need to be very efficient with their usage of time, it's definite. It can be uninspiring if you spend a lot of time preparing for something and it doesn't match, or you don't get the results you want to get from it. So from the onset, it's very important to actually have a role that matches your own aspirations and your goals. Hey, I'm going to quote all these rich millionaires, Bill Gates and all of these kind of people, where they say they've all excelled because they're in fields that they're enthusiastic about. It goes without saying that you put in more efforts, more energy, and are more successful when you're matched with something that you really enjoy doing. So there's no reason why volunteering would not be the same. In order to reap full benefits, you really do need to be doing something that you really put so much energy in due to enthusiasm, and it shines through. When you're enthusiastic, the people you are working with will kind of like gain from that energy. And yeah, I'm an advocate of win-win situations, and all this is all the win-win, including proper matching to requirements. Yeah.
Thanks, Yinka. I asked that because there's some people that have never volunteered that might watch this or who are thinking of volunteering, and it may be they come in and do an open day, but just to let them know that by working with us, once we know your aspirations and your passions and your expertise, that there are ways of making volunteer role is quite bespoke. So thank you for being so honest with that. I think I've taken up a lot of your time. So Jodie, unless did you have anything else at all and to ask Yinka?
No, I didn't. I mean, you've covered so much, and it's just great to hear your passion, hear what you're involved in, hear how you use your time, which is so precious, and we really appreciate it here at LSB. We really do. I guess maybe another question would be, what would be like your perfect volunteer opportunity at LSBU? Like, how do you want to continue your relationship with us?
Ooh, that's an interesting one. I'm a special case, aren't I? Because I'm happy to do so many things. So, but definitely there are roles that I'm aware of a role from the government where they're sponsoring visiting professors, visiting professor. So, to me, you know, I can mentor graduates of any field because the end game is getting a job. But when it comes to passion and the ability to give theoretical, job matching, real proper mentoring to the very end, it will be in my field, which is chemical engineering. So to actually mentor chemical engineers to the point that they get the job, and even you know, when you're an experienced chemical engineer, you now have contacts in different places. You can even get them, you can call up a colleague and say, oh, so-and-so is going to have an interview with so-and-so tomorrow. Can you help out with a mock interview? So for me, it's so much easier for me to mentor chemical engineers, and the perfect position would be to actually sort out and make sure there's almost like 100% job achievements from the Department of Chemical Engineering at LSBU. That would be a good KPI for me. If I had that opportunity, I would be really happy to grab that and sort it out.
We'll leave that to Sally. Sally can
Yeah,
pick that up.
I just started and then I realised I was on mute and I was like, no one noticed. Yeah, we've started that conversation, but we're definitely going to pick that up, especially now we've started further conversations. I know I'm quite excited about that kind of situation as well. So I just want to say thank you so much for joining us today. We appreciate it, and we're so glad we're able to recognise you publicly in this way for everything that you do for LSBU. But it would be rude to not end with a very kind of cheesy little bit of feedback from some people at LSBU that have worked alongside you and you've engaged as a volunteer. So this particular one is from Riz and the employability team and the job shop team. They've said that Yinka has been a great example of how an LSBU alumni can help support future generations. It's been great working with him over the last 2 years. Yinka has been highly proactive in supporting LSBU students with information, advice and guidance in regards to chemical engineering. He has given up his time to attend so many of our events and has supported LSBU Careers Hub above and beyond the usual. Yinka is a fantastic professional who is giving up his personal time to support future generations, and his contributions are highly appreciated by myself, that's Riz, LSBU Careers Hub and the Division of Chemical and Energy Engineering at LSBU. We look forward to working with Yinka for a very long time and thank him for all his contributions to date. And then I've just added myself, inspiring, influential role model, a valued member of our alumni community.
Well, I'm sure you've heard the black people don't blush, right? So thankfully.
It's all true. It's all true. And it's important for us to get feedback from the people that you're kind of engaging as a volunteer. So we really wanted to give you that feedback because it matters to recognise you so publicly that way.
Thank you very much. It's on record, isn't it? Perfect. This is great.
It's like a written reference.
yeah. I'm speechless. I'm not normally speechless anymore after it was drummed into me to be extroverts. But for that one, yeah, long may it continue, I'll say.
Definitely, 100%, 100%. Well, thank you so much, Yinka, for your time. We really appreciate it. And thank you for allowing us to recognise you and celebrate you for everything that you do for LSBU. And I can't wait for us to provide you with further opportunities for you to come back to LSBU and impact the students that we have. So thank you so much. And yeah, we really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Likewise, thank you as well, guys.
Thank you so much.
Okay.